Hey friends, today we're going to talk about how to set up Microsoft To Do, which is an awesome task manager. And so we'll get you set up on your PC and your phone, and then we'll walk you through some smart lists that you can add to that to kick things off. So here we go. Let's head to the Microsoft Store to get the app. So what you want to do is click on the Windows button on your taskbar or press the Windows button on your keyboard. And then you want to type Store, S-T-O-R-E. That'll bring up the Microsoft Store. Go ahead and open that up. Once it loads up in the top, you want to type To Do. Hit Enter. And there's Microsoft To Do. That's the one we want. So you go ahead and click on that. And then you say Get. Once it gets to open, go ahead and click that. And now you've got Microsoft To Do. You may be prompted to sign in to your Microsoft 365 account or your Microsoft account. And once you do that, you'll be in the app. Now in this case, Adele already has a bunch of stuff of emails and things that are coming in for this demo, but you'll get to this screen. If you get the option to pin this to your taskbar, you want to go ahead and say yes. And that plops it right down here, so now it'll be pinned there for the next time you need it. So that takes care of getting you on the Windows version. Now let's go over and get this on the mobile device. So go to your mobile device. If it's Apple, head to the App Store. If it's Android, head to the Play Store. In this example, we're going to walk you through how to do it with an iPhone. So go to the App Store. From the App Store, click on the bottom right, Search. Type in To Do, T-O space T-O, hit Search, and then scroll up until you get to the Microsoft To Do app, which is right there, and then click on the Get. In my case, we've already downloaded it, so there's a picture of a cloud there on the right, but you're going to click on Get if it's the first time, so let's do that. All right, then you click on Open. Again, you may have to log into your account, so we're going to do that now. It'll ask if it's okay to send notifications. I recommend you turn that on. So here we go. This is the app on your iPhone. Same will be on your Android. So let's walk through some setup steps now that you've got the app loaded. When you first start To Do, it's got 6 what I call smart lists and 1 actual task list. So on the left-hand side, you'll see My Day, Important, Planned, All, Assigned to Me, Flagged Email, and then Task. So before we dive into all of that, let's go ahead and set this up. Let's go to Settings and make sure the list and integrations are the way we want. So click on your name on the top left, click on Settings, and then what we want to do is scroll down to the Smart List, and you want to make sure all of these are on. I turn off Completed, so leave that one off. If you want it on, you can certainly do that, but make sure all the rest are on. I auto-hide empty smart list, and I showed Do Today task in my day, which is a good idea. And this is the key thing for integration. You want to say Planner, you want to turn that on, and this is the really big one, Flagged Emails, you want to turn that one on as well. So once you have those set, you're now ready to start using To Do with all its integration. So let's walk through some of the sections about that. So, for example, the planned list will bring up anything that has a due date that's coming up, whether that's from Planner or you actually set a date yourself in To Do. So that smart list will bring up anything with a date coming up. In this case, there's one due tomorrow. This is the visual of how it integrates with Outlook for flagged emails and Outlook task, and also anything assigned to you in Planner will also show up in To Do. So that's a really cool feature of To Do, is the ability to bring things in from other apps. Okay, so now let's walk through what each of these lists do. So the first one, My Day, brings up anything that you add there for each day, and at the end of the day, whatever's in that list will be cleared. So it kind of automatically lets you start with a fresh slate every day. And what's cool about that is if you click on this icon of a light bulb, it'll bring up possible things that you want to add to your today. So let's say you wanted to add submits expenses to your day. You'd click the plus sign. Then it shows up over here. If you wanted to do the Tailspin CEO, you'd add that over here. And then you can click on more to look for other things you might want to add to your day. So you can either type them in as new task here, or you can bring things in that suggest. And then that'll be your list that you want to work on for the day. Important is another great list, and that means no matter what list it's in, where you have it saved, if you have the star clicked on it, it'll show up in the important list. So if I go back to my day and I say, tailspins are really important, and I set that to important, when you go back to important over here, you'll see that it's now there. Planned, we briefly talked about earlier. Planned will show you everything that is due coming up or anything that is past due. So if you have a task in Planner, it'll show up here if it's got a due date, or if you've assigned a due date to yourself on any action item, it'll show up here as well. The all list is pretty convenient. If you're trying to find something, you can't remember where you stuck it, you stick on all, you'll see all your different lists. It shows you by source, so these are Planner and tasks that come in here. Then it would be flagged emails are here, and then getting started is a different list over here. So you see those tasks. So that's a convenient way to find something. Assigned to me is anything that is as it said, has got your name on it, usually from my day, but you can also assign yourself things within task. Flagged email is a really powerful one. So whenever you're in Outlook and some email comes in that you really want to not drop, or you want to do something with it, if you set the flag, the follow-up flag in Outlook, it will then automatically show up here. No matter where you have it in Outlook, even if you file it in different folders, if you set the flag, it's going to show up here. And by the way, if you check this as done, here, it'll also clear the flag in Outlook as well. And if you clear the flag in Outlook, it'll show as done over here as well. So right now, everything we've been looking at is either in Planner or flagged emails or in other list here. But task is where your general task list is. Now in this case, Adele has set up getting started and groceries as example lists. You might also have that in to-do depending on when Microsoft wants to give you sample data. But these are two lists that are created on their own. And then you can create new lists down at the bottom by clicking on this, or you can click new list groups here, where you can give it a heading, and then under that heading you can add several lists underneath. So that's the general overview of Microsoft To Do without adding any extra list or anything yet. All right, we're almost done. We got a couple things left to do. Now the smart way to set up Microsoft To Do is so that you can start using some of the Getting Things Done list as well. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to walk you through setting up some of the key groups of lists that you need to implement Getting Things Done. Even if you're not familiar with that routine, these lists are so logical, and I'll explain them to you, that you can use them anyway. All right, now we're going to set up some lists for getting things done. So I have a task here called Setting Up GTD List, and you'll notice there's a little icon here of a paper. That indicates there's notes on this particular to-do, so I'm going to click on it, and we can see here the notes I wrote to myself to remember what I want to do. So we're going to create a grouping of lists called Next Action List. We're going to create another group called Someday Maybe List. And then finally, we'll create a reference list group. And in that grouping, we'll add the specific list. So I'm going to walk through that right now. So on the bottom left, you see there's an icon here that says Create a New Group. We're going to click on that. And we're going to type Next Action List. The next grouping we're going to need, I'm going to click on that button again, is Someday Maybe. And then finally, we're going to set up a reference list. All right, now that we've got the three groupings, we're going to actually create the actual list. So the first one we want to do is Next Action. So I'm going to click on New List and type Next Action. The next list we want is Waiting For, so I'm going to type that one in. This happens just to rename. Next list we want is Books to Read. And the next one is project list. Quotes. And tag list. These are just examples. All right, so now we've got some groupings up here and some lists down here. So now what we want to do is drag those lists where they are into the right grouping. So the next action should be under the next action list. So I'm going to go up here and move it to that. Here it is. Then the next one is waiting for, should be under that same grouping. So we're going to drag that up here. Drag it right on top. Sometimes you have to move them around like this to get them in the right spot. So I want next actions, then I want waiting for. Now on my someday maybe list, I'm going to want to add my books to read. So I'm going to grab my books to read and move it up underneath the someday maybe. There it is. Now under reference, I'm going to add my project list, quotes, and tag list. And I like it to be in sort order. There we go. So now we have the three groups set up. We have next action and waiting for, which is under the next action list. Someday maybe list, which is books to read, and you can add a bunch of different lists there. And then for reference, I have a project list, quotes you might want to capture, and I'm a huge fan of tags. So every time I create a new tag, I stick it in the tag list, and I keep track of it there. Now I notice I forgot to add an S to the next action list here. So I'm going to right click on this and click rename. I'm going to add an S to the end. All right, so now we've got all our lists set up for at least a starter set for getting things done. All right, way to go. You've got to-do set up on your computer. You've got it set up on your phone. You've got some sample lists for getting things done all set up. You're ready to go. Now, one of the things I highly recommend you do is set up your phones so that you can dictate action items or reminders that'll automatically show up in Microsoft To Do. Now, it's not set up to use dictation automatically, so you do have to go through some steps. I have a video set up for that that'll walk you through how to set up dictation. In this example, I use iPhone, but you can also set it up for Google. So I'm going to demonstrate what I'm talking about here. So here we go. Set reminder, set up phone for automatic dictation into Microsoft To Do.
Okay, I added it.
Okay, so now that I've told Siri to automatically add that reminder to my to-do list, let's go find it. So on my to-do app on my phone, I would go to my list up here, and I have a reminders list that I have set up. I'm going to click on that, and there's the action item that I just dictated it a few minutes ago. Open that up, and there it's all set to go. So that shows you how you can dictate to your phone and have it show up in Microsoft To Do. Now the Reminders app for Apple is phenomenal. You can say set reminder tomorrow at 11:50, call Franklin. Or you can say set a reminder next week, Tuesday at 2 p.m. And it'll automatically put it in and set the date and time that you dictated as a reminder in the To Do app, and To Do will remind you at that time. So I highly recommend you check out the video on how to do that. The link to it will be below. All right, that concludes our setup of Microsoft To Do and a sort of an introduction to the capability. The more I use it, the more I like it. So be sure and check back here because I'll be updating the playlist and these articles on different techniques of using To Do. Things like how to use tags properly, because that's a very powerful feature. So more to come, but hope you enjoy it, and let me know how things are going by leaving comments below. Until next time, take care.